You know, I wanted to do a pasta recipe. My thought was, oh God, there's really 3 pastas that are super easy to make. Maybe I should just show those. These, I don't wanna say are the easiest pastas of all time because there are lots of pastas that take the same amount of time, but they are quite literally as fast as it gets to make a pasta dish that is truly impressive. And there are many other ones out there. These are things you can throw together with 2 pans, you put it on a plate, you eat it, and it is incredible. So that being said, let's make this, shall we? Number 1. Everybody's heard of this pasta. There are very many different variations of it. There's a lot of ways to skin this cat. Garlic. Ultimately, this is all about the garlic, right? It's pasta with olive oil and garlic. Sometimes people will add a little red chili flake, which we will later. But this is possibly the easiest one on the list. Now, I've got 7 garlic cloves, and you're gonna slice those relatively thinly. I really don't care how thick or thin you choose to go. Just don't go any thicker than about, I feel like a ½ inch is a bit much. So try to go under that. And we're just slicing these into nice little rounds. It's important in this dish that you slice them because finely chopping them, although is not illegal, it just makes it a lot stronger. By slicing them, you're getting a much more tender, a much more delicate, a much more sweet garlic flavor rather than in-your-face garlic. Now, set that to the side. There are only 2 ingredients you gotta prep for this. Everything else you just make. The second ingredient is fresh flat leaf parsley. Do me a favor, make sure it's flat leaf. I fucking hate curly leaf. I just think it's ugly, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. If all you can find is curly, that's fine. But flat leaf is my preferred. Now, I've got a nice big bundle. This is probably about a cup worth of fresh leaves. We're going to finely chop that. So you're gonna roll it really tightly together, press it down. Don't worry too much about bruising it. I'm not crushing it, I'm just packing it really tight. And then you're going to slice that nice and thin. So now you're essentially getting sort of a chiffonade. Now, once all that's sliced, we went this way, didn't change direction. Now we're gonna go the other way. Now at that point, you could stop and call that finely chopped. I'm gonna run this a few more times just to make sure this is nice and fine. I think it looks way better when they're really evenly and finely chopped. I hate aglio olio where there's like huge chunks of parsley. I want it almost a part of the sauce in a way. All right, that's plenty. So a cup of leaves gave you about a ½ cup of finely chopped parsley, which I think is the perfect amount. Now, we'll move on to the stove. Okay, first, boiling water. So we have 1 pound of spaghetti. You like that? I'm pulling a Giada De Laurentiis. I love Giada, but she loves to pronounce the shit out of the different pastas, and I respect that. Now, boiling water. We're gonna add a generous amount of salt. I want this nice and salty. You don't season your pasta water, you might as well honestly not make the pasta if I'm being real. Now, this is boiling, it's hot, it's ready. We're gonna add our full pound of pasta to the boiling water. Oh my God, it doesn't fit. It will fit. You give it a second, those bottoms will soften. You can kind of push that in there. Oh, my finger went directly into the boiling water, and they'll fall in there. We're gonna let that cook according to the package directions until al dente. It should be around 8 minutes. When 4 minutes remains, we're gonna jump over to this pan, and we're gonna heat this over medium heat, and we're going to add a 1/3 cup of extra virgin olive oil. You can go a little heavier with olive oil if you want, up to a ½ cup, I'd say. I don't like to add more than this because I think it actually makes the pasta a little too oily. So heat that over medium heat. We're gonna immediately add our garlic. It's not gonna sizzle when it goes in there, that's okay. I want this to very gently cook. I'm also gonna add a touch of salt. And we just want this to sort of sweat in the oil. As it comes up, it'll slowly start to sizzle. It'll release its water. This will prevent it from developing any acrid or sort of bitter flavors. Oh, you can already smell the fragrance. Look how delicately this is cooking. See how it's just very gently almost poaching in the oil? That's what I want. I don't want it frying in the oil. A light poach. We're flavoring the oil. We're scenting the oil with the garlic. All right, now we've moved on to a very gentle cook on these. I've lowered the heat to medium-low. Now I'm smelling the fragrance of the garlic come out. Just keep it moving around the pan. Keep it moving around the pan. So once you smell that and it's nice and fragrant, you're gonna turn the heat totally off. Just keep that moving around the pan. I'm gonna add a touch more salt. Give that a little swirl to mix it in. And now we just wait for our pasta to finish. By the way, this cook time takes like 30 to 60 seconds. All right, we got another minute left on our pasta. The heat's off, but the oil's still hot. So now I'm gonna add about a teaspoon up to a tablespoon of dried chili flake. Toss that in there and then I'll very lightly toast, very lightly. This burns super fast, which is why we add this at the end. Okay, now we're gonna check our pasta, see if it's there. Always take a little strand out and just taste it. Perfect. All right, heat off on the pasta. I like to take mine out right next to my landing zone with tongs. It's okay if a little pasta water gets in there. We want that. Gather all your pasta, transfer it over, season with a touch more salt to taste, just a little. We'll add more in a second, and then just toss. Make sure to scoop up and lather it with the oil. We're gonna add a couple tablespoons of pasta water and all of our parsley. And we're just gonna fold that, toss together. Do taste a small strand. Find out if it needs more salt. At this stage, you have to add it now. Mine needed more salt, I'm adding more salt. I mean, look at this. Look at how nice that looks. There's no oil sitting in the bottom of the pan. As you can see, absolutely no oil. It's all clung to the pasta. This is a proper aglio e olio. You don't want pools of oil anywhere. It's all found its way onto the noodle. It's not a creamy sauce, but it is a sauce that you will detect and will taste right now. So twirl a generous portion into a bowl and top with a little flaky salt if you want. You can also add Parmigiano if you like, and enjoy. All right, before we move on to the next pasta, we gotta taste it. The key is adding a lot of salt after you make it, because if you do that, this tastes like the adult version of buttered noodles. And I love buttered noodles. I think adults deserve to eat buttered noodles too, but the flavor of this is so much more refined. The fragrance of the garlic combined with the olive oil. I mean, you really taste the simplicity of it. This is a really good snack. This is a good, like, throw it together at the end of the night and you just only want to clean a pot and a pan and a bowl. Honestly, this is like a line cook's dinner right here. On to the next pasta. Peep the setup I got going on over here, all right? Notice it's the same every time. Boiling water on one side, saucier or large skillet on the other side, right next to each other, because it's boom, boom. You wanna make this easy? Heat them next to each other. Anyway, boiling water, heavily seasoned with salt. This will be the same thing every single time, so this is the last time I'm gonna tell you. Now, I have a rigatoni, which is a 10-minute cook time, so we need to add that, and you might wanna wait maybe 3-4 minutes before you start on the sauce over here, so we'll wait. And while you wait, you're gonna finally dice a shallot. Very simply, slice the shallot in half lengthwise, lay them flat side down, and then take your knife and you're gonna slice little fingers that are roughly 1/8 of an inch thick. Then run your knife through the center of it lengthwise, halfway down, and then after that, you simply cut across your shallot at 1/8 of an inch intervals to get your beautiful fine dice. You can also rough chop your knife through it if you want it even finer, and then you're gonna repeat that for both halves, and that's your shallot. All right, we have about 7 minutes left on this now. I've got my saucier or large skillet heated over medium heat. You're gonna add 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And then immediately to the pan, you're gonna add your 1 finely chopped shallot and 3 to 4 cloves of thinly sliced garlic. Yeah. Season that immediately with salt. Oh my gosh, Josh, it isn't bubbling. You didn't let it get hot. Shut up. I don't want any color on this. I just want it to sweat. So I'm essentially starting it from cold. I'm gonna let that naturally come up and infuse the oil. I also season it with salt so that it would draw the water out. Now I wanna very, very quickly cook these. So we're sitting at medium heat. And let those cook for about 1 to 2 minutes until they just begin to soften. After that, you're going to add 3 tablespoons of gochujang. What? Yes, gochujang. And a half cup of tomato paste. No need to throw in a bunch of tomatoes and cook them way down. Why not use tomatoes that are already cooked down, guys? What are we doing? Okay, it's 2026. We're all about to die by AI. Are you really gonna wait for your tomatoes to concasse and cook down? Anyway, stir that in and cook that down over medium heat. Just keep stirring. I know the oil's separated, but it'll eventually integrate if you just keep stirring. All right, there we go. So now it's frying in the olive oil. So not only is it already cooked down, but now we're getting some more caramelized flavors. We're caramelizing the naturally occurring sugars in the tomato paste, just deepening that overall flavor. The gochujang, on the other hand, is essentially adding an MSG-like umami, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of spiciness. No need to add chilies because it's fermented chili paste. Don't you just love that? Now, at this stage, you can notice a little bit of charring in the pan. It's starting to stick a little bit. That is your indicator that it is ready to move on to the next stage. So first, a tablespoon of vodka. This is just so I can call it vodka pasta. You can honestly eliminate this. This doesn't do anything, but it's fun to add. Some people say it helps the emulsion. I have not felt that way ever. You'll then add 1/4 cup of water. Stir that all together. Now we've essentially got a really just luxe tomato sauce, which to that we will add 1.5 cups of heavy cream. By the way, that's what creates the emulsion. The 1.5 cups of heavy cream. That will pretty much emulsify anything. Just stir till evenly combined. If you don't want to wait for this, you can literally just take a whisk and get in there. That'll break this down a little faster. There we go. Look at that, we got a lovely sauce coming together. Okay, let's check on our pasta, see how that's doing. Oh yeah, beautifully al dente. Now this will continue to cook in the sauce a little bit, so if you want to pull it maybe a minute earlier, 30 seconds earlier, that's fine. Our sauce is ever so lightly simmering, so I'm taking it out with a spider. We're gonna add our pasta to that. All of our pasta. And we're not done here, okay? The next step, mucho important. First, you're gonna add 1 to 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, cold and cubed, and then about a half cup pecorino. Cut the heat off, and then we're just gonna go to town. We're gonna start tossing, okay? This can get messy. You can use a spoon if you don't feel comfortable. You can always just stir it in like that. But I find that you get a much better emulsion if you just get to work. I mean, look at this, beautiful color. She's emulsifying. I mean, look at that, dude. Now, once that's all emulsified, you'll then add your remaining 1/4 cup of fresh grated Pecorino Romano, and then toss that in. Again, just keep tossing until fully silky smooth. I don't want any cheese lumps in there. If you need any help getting that dissolved, you can always take about a tablespoon or 2 of your pasta water, just splash that in there, get back to work. This is like the best technique to master, I think, as a cook, because it teaches you, if you can control a beautiful pasta toss like this, you can control any toss in a pan. Unbelievable practice here for you. Give it a shot. You might like make a little mess. Guess what? Get a wet rag, wipe it down. It's okay. Don't be scared. That's the key. Don't be scared. All right, give it a toss. Ta-da! Pasta! Before you serve this to your guests, give it a taste first. So good. But it does need a little salt. This is your moment to add it. Season taste with salt. Give it one last toss, and now we can serve. Ladle a generous portion into a bowl, add a little bit of Parmesan or Pecorino, and enjoy. Pasta vodka. This is the best pasta vodka you'll ever make. Vodka pasta, pasta vodka, I don't care. Gochujang is the only way I ever want my vodka pasta. I have not made a vodka pasta without gochujang for like 4 years for this reason. And I've made a lot of vodka pastas over the last 4 years. Absolutely phenomenal, salty, creamy, so beautifully balanced. The richness of the cream is so incredibly leveraged by the umami heat of the gochujang. This is possibly the easiest, most impressive pasta you can make. But we have one more that I think everybody will love. This is a pesto pasta. I have 2 ways to make this for you. Number 1, if you have a blender, we'll do the blender version. If you don't have a blender, I have an option for you, but we'll start with the blender version. So, in boiling water, 1/2 cup of spinach, 2 cups of fresh basil, cut off the heat. Then I want you to just dunk that in the water very, very briefly, all right? Doesn't need to sit for long. Then at that stage, you're gonna take it all out, let it drain, and place immediately in a bowl of ice water, okay? Now it's been properly blanched. Swirl that around, and just cool that off as quickly as possible. I put this into a sieve so I can easily get it all out. It's fine if you don't, you'll just have to pick some of the ice out of it. But I want you to chill this as much as possible, which will literally only take a couple of seconds. Now, once that's cold, I want you to gently wring out as much moisture as you can without bruising it too much. All right, now we're gonna add our spinach and basil to our blender, along with 5 cloves of garlic, a 1/3 cup of toasted pine nuts, and we have a mixture of a 1/2 cup of each, so a total of a cup, Pecorino and Parmigiano Reggiano. You could also do all of one if you don't have both or you don't wanna get both, I get it. In. Now, have a little bit of water to help it loosen because it may need it. Start it on low speed. So I'm gonna add a touch of water to get that to loosen a little bit.
Use your plunger to help break it up if needed, and continue to add a little bit of water at a time just to loosen so it blends easily. Now, don't add too much because we don't want liquidy sauce here. Then you'll stream in a 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil in a slow, steady stream while the blender is on high speed to emulsify. Add salt to taste.
Look at this. Beautiful, vibrant green sauce. Now let's taste it, make sure it's seasoned nicely. Insane. Now let's move on to the second option.
To hand chop your pesto, you're gonna start with 2 cups of fresh basil. Run your knife through a few times to get a rough chop. Then separately, you're gonna place a 1/3 cup of toasted pine nuts onto your cutting board. Then using the bottom of a metal bowl or a pan or any heavy object, press firmly to finely crush the nuts. You can also run your knife over it if need be. Now you're going to combine the two, and then using a rocking chop, go back and forth with your knife, running it through over and over. Now once that's gotten about twice as fine, you're then going to take 5 garlic cloves, lay the flat side of your knife over them, and smash them with your palm so that they're as crushed as possible. Sprinkle with a little bit of salt, that'll help act as an abrasive. Then finally chop all your garlic as finely as possible, then incorporate it into your mixture, giving the entire pile one last chop through. Ultimately, you can just keep doing this until it is as finely as you desire, right? And you're probably thinking, oh, but this takes so much time, Josh. Well, if you don't have a food processor, you at least have a solution.
You can add your cheese at this point, 1/2 cup, chop that in there. And then pretty much at this stage, it's already really fine. So you could essentially transfer this to a large bowl. Obviously, this would also work in a food processor. But what if I don't have a food processor? Well, if you have a knife and a bowl, you can still make it. This is also a great point to add a mortar and pestle. If you have a mortar and pestle, you can get it even finer. But if you don't, again, just a knife, you have a pesto alla rustico. Anyway, add your olive oil. We'll start with about a 1/4 cup of that. Stir that in to hydrate, and then the rest of your olive oil. A little bit of salt to taste. Stir it all together. It doesn't look quite as like vibrant green or whatever, but this is still gonna be a delicious pesto to put on your pasta. Now, the next stage, whatever I do, instead of using the pesto we made in the blender, you use this pesto. Now, I've got finished pasta here, farfalle, a pound.
Start by pouring about half your pesto sauce into a large skillet. Ladle on all of your cooked farfalle. Add more pesto sauce to fully coat as necessary. It's up to you here, right? You can always add more, but you can't take away, so be cautious. Also, you may have some leftover pesto. If so, you're welcome. Top that off with a little bit more sauce and give it a final few good tosses just to make sure every nook and cranny of your pasta is fully covered.
Now, let's assemble. Ladle a generous portion into a bowl, add a little pecorino or parmigiano or both, and enjoy. A total of 3 beautiful pastas, and we end with possibly one of the biggest favorites of all, pesto. It's almost like we're at a stoplight. We got green, we got red, we got yellow. What I'm trying to say is these all complete each other. They add their own unique element. Rich, creamy, salty, spicy. You got something that's just nice and relaxing and simple and fragrant. And then finally, you have something in the middle, herbaceous, fresh, but also, again, fragrant, delicious. The difference between these pastas, which maybe the longest recipe takes 15, 20 minutes, in comparison to somebody who made their own pasta, did X, Y, Z, and took 4 or 5 hours doing it, if you season this properly, I'm willing to bet you that people won't be able to tell the difference. Links in the description for the recipe. Subscribe, love ya, see ya.